Welcome to Gear Garage. I'm Zach, and this is my funny little internet show about whitewater stuff. And in today's episode, I want to talk about this NRS Longhorn Raft Frame. It's probably the best thing NRS makes. It's really well thought out, it's simple, it's light. It's something I'd highly recommend for those of you looking for like a nice, simple day frame. If you have a multi-day frame, one of the frames with like you sit on a cooler or boxes and has just a bunch of stuff around it, you may want to get this for your day trips. That frame is great for multi-day. You're putting in once and taking out once over 4 days. But if you're doing a lot of put-ins and takeouts, a simple frame like this is really nice. And if you're on harder whitewater, if you flip, it's much easier to flip your oar boat back over if your frame is light. So keeping it simple, it's pretty nice. It being a little smaller, you want to have a raft frame or a raft with a lot of D-rings. So this boat has a lot of D-rings. There's a lot of places to tie down. If your D-rings are spread out really far apart, you might really struggle tying this frame down. And you might want to consider tying it down to the floor. A lot of rafts with high quality floors you can actually tie down into the lacing to keep it in place if there's not enough external D-rings to tie it onto. But for the frame, it's a really nice frame. It's the one thing that is really adjustable. And so if you want, this is the kick bar right here. If you want to adjust the kick bar out or back, you just need a 1/2-inch socket wrench. And you just have to undo these 4 nuts. It's pretty easy. Like you can see here, it just takes like a minute. Not even a minute, maybe like 20 seconds, 30 seconds. And once you've undone those 4 nuts, this bar can move forward and back. It's a little tricky sometimes, so I like to have a rubber mallet handy just to kind of push it. If somebody's a little shorter, they can bring it in. If you're a little taller, you can push it out. So it's a good frame if a variety of people are using it. We use these in our rowing schools all the time because you have different people trying different boats, and it's just really easy to adjust them back like that. The other thing is you can pull this, with 4 more nuts, you can pull this back bar off the seat bar and the kick bar, and the whole thing kind of goes down to one simple package. It's if you don't have room for a frame like this in your car, you can take it apart every time in like 5 minutes at the most, throw it in your car really easy and put it back together when you get to the river. It's just a really nice feature of this frame that it's adjustable and it comes apart really easily. The other thing I really like are these oar towers that NRS has, and I think that they're patented. They're that good. And if you need to adjust them, there's 2 bolts here. And this is where it's nice to have like a deep socket, a deep 1/2-inch socket. That back one's a little bit tough to get to with most sockets, and so a deep socket's nice. And I can now move these oar towers up or back. They're just incredibly adjustable, and you can kind of get a feel for where you want to instead of having them stuck in place like most oar towers. And one other added feature of these oar towers is if you're going with some friends and you're going to stack boats at the end of the day, you can undo both sides of the oar towers, which just takes, a minute. Pull this in, pull that in, and this boat, it's really easy to stack another boat on top. You don't have to pull the frame off, throw it somewhere else. It's super easy, especially if you're with some friends doing several day trips back to back. So a feature I really like. The one downside about these oar towers is almost no matter how tight you get them, if you tighten them on, if the boat flips and the oar tower hits a rock or something underwater, it's almost definitely going to bend this in or bend it out. And so when you flip the boat back over, you're going to need a tool handy to like loosen it up, put it back in place and tighten it before you can start rafting again. So I would highly recommend carrying this in your PFD when you're using these NRS frames. Or somebody, I've used these frames before where the person before me didn't have these tight for some reason. It was coming loose as I was boating. And so it's just really handy to have this with you to tighten different nuts up as you're going. So NRS with the frame has a little mini tool with a couple of screwdrivers off of it. I think that tool is like kind of dangerous. There's just some really pokey things on it, and I don't like putting pokey things in my PFD. And so I usually leave this in my PFD. I know it's a little bit heavy, but I leave this in my PFD for just quick adjustments. And I've seen these boats flip. I've seen these things come loose. Luckily, the guy had this with them to put it back and keep going. But again, it's a great frame. I highly recommend it. It's a $525 frame. And they come in multiple widths. Based on the width of your boat, you can get them. This bar is just wider for different ones, so you have to measure your boat, decide what width you can get, and NRS has a variety of sizes. If you want to support the show, I'll put a link on Amazon. You can buy it through Amazon and we get a little bit of kickback. So feel free to buy it on Amazon and help us out and keep the show going. for that. So that's all for the NRS Longhorn frame. Again, it's a great frame. I'd highly recommend it. If you've used it and love it, leave us a comment. If you haven't, if you've used it and don't love it for some reason, I'd love to know why. Or if you have questions, please leave a question in the comment section below. And yeah, thanks for listening and see you next time.